Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson and I'm focused on spreading magic by discussing Disney. And today I want to discuss the possibility of Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father being a bad duck. What would it mean for the triplets if their dad wasn't someone who they had tragically lost, but was someone who turned away from them for their own reasons? And of course, if you are new to my videos and you are interested in joining this Disney-loving community, then consider subscribing. Before this, I did make a video going through who I believed Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father was, but I went into that one definitely looking for the most optimistic choice, that maybe their dad was a military man who became an astronaut who had been lost out in space searching for his wife and the boy's mother, Della Duck, after she became trapped on the moon. Wow, that is a wild, weird story. DuckTales is so cool. Well, I meant for my previous theory to be the only one to share what I wanted to have happen to him. Based on many of your thoughts in the comments, I started to feel like his story may not be done being discussed because there was an argument to be made that his story may reveal him to be someone who had dark connections. There were fun people who brilliantly pointed out that maybe Della and this mysterious duck could have met through Donald. If the triplets' father, Mr. Duck, was a close friend of Donald who had met one another when Mr. Duck was in the Army or Air Force at the same time that Donald was in the Navy, maybe that's how the duck was initially welcomed into the family. Going off of this friendship that Donald and the boy's father may have had, others recognized that maybe he had been deployed on a mission and never returned. Or maybe, regardless of how he met Della, he was simply a good man who simply got sick and died. A death like that could provide an answer to why he would have never been able to return to his children and his wife, why no one ever talked poorly of him, and why it might have also been really hard to bring him up, knowing that he died so tragically. It's possible that the Duck family knows who he is and what happened to him, and we just have never been filled in on this devastating loss, or whatever happened to him. If you'd like to see that first discussion that goes through a lot of the introductory research, analysis, and history of this mysterious duck, definitely check out the first part of this exploration of Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father. But clearly there are just so many roads that this duck story could go down. So maybe his story isn't actually one about a good-natured duck, but instead one who may be lazy or negligent or just plain evil. My previous breakdown explains my excitement around the idea that the boy's father was in fact a brave, kind, dutiful, and adventurous astronaut who would never leave anyone he loved behind, or was at least someone with a good heart. But I think it's possible he could be far from that perfect father. There were a lot of fun people that suggested that the boys may have not been planned at all, and no one currently has any knowledge about him other than the fact that he's someone that would not build up their lives. Others thought it's possible that Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father may have just been a deadbeat freeloader who was just trying to gain access to Scrooge's money. Maybe he left once he realized he wasn't going to get a cut of the McDuck fortune. Or maybe he just couldn't stand being a part of that world. It's possible he could have just been more of a non-adventurous duck who couldn't stand the active, hot-tempered, and chaotic duck family and decided to leave Della and his children behind. Maybe Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father is an average duck whose relationship with Della simply led to disaster. And I think that hard event of losing someone who Della believed loved her may have been what drove her to go on the impulsive mission to the stars. Maybe a difficult encounter between Della and her boy's father is what led to her taking the Spear of Selene, because at some point before that, her relationship with Mr. Duck had to have ended. You all pointed out that Della knew that Donald would take care of her children when she became stranded on the moon, not their father. So maybe the idea of their father disappearing into the stars looking for her doesn't even make sense. It's possible Della wasn't married to the boy's father and accepted the responsibility of raising them after some type of falling out, and that he still went in search of her because he actually loved her. That still might be the case, but really I think there could be a darker layer to the tale of one Mr. Duck. I mean, the triplets are exceptional, intelligent, and resourceful, and so is everyone in their family. I mean, even Donald Duck is a world-traveling treasure hunter, so it would make sense to have their father be someone with those traits as well. Who possibly could live up to being included in this family in this mystery? Well, I think that could be an agent of the fiendish organization for world larceny, otherwise known as FOWL. Many fun people brought up this concept that maybe he was a part of this evil group, continuing down the thought process that the mysterious Mr. Duck was a part of the army because of his buzz cut and collared shirt. Maybe he was recruited after some time with Della to be a part of FOWL. Or maybe he was an agent of the same crime-fighting spy organization known as Shush that Scrooge and Agent 22 worked for in the past, but was lost during a mission when he was fighting against FOWL. I think it's possible that the boy's father could have been absorbed into FOWL, either through indoctrination, mind control, or a very persuasive leadership. Another idea that was proposed was that he met Della when he was a FOWL agent, fell in love with her, and was killed when he saw the error of his ways. Maybe he was destroyed for attempting to go on the right path, or was forced to stay on because he felt he had to keep Huey, Dewey, and Louie safe from the life that he was connected to. I think it's possible he could be lost as a villainous secret agent, and to explain how that could have come about, we need to look at everything we have talked about all together. I think Della Duck met the father of her children through an introduction by her brother Donald, and I believe she immediately could tell that he had something unique within him. I don't know if she knew that he was a secret agent necessarily, but I believe it's possible she got intrigued by his adventurous, brave, and capable nature. Eventually they laid eggs together, and at that point he suddenly disappeared. What I think Donald and Della believe is that he abandoned them, and maybe even gave the reasoning that he only wanted them for their money, which would explain why no one ever sadly remembers him, looks fondly at their memories with him, or wants to bring him back. I think no one ever talks about him or has pictures of him lying around because everyone believes he hurt the Duck family by leaving them when they had all loved him. And it is possible that reasoning was given to Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which is why they don't look into him. But I don't think that was the true reason he never met his children. I doubt he's just a normal duck, even though he really could be. I believe if the triplets' father isn't a purely noble, hardworking, and honorable person, that he might have been an agent of FOWL, who was dragged further into the organization without a hope of being rescued or redeemed when his connection with Della began. If he's not a heroic duck, I believe there's a chance that either by his own choice or by FOWL itself, he may have become lost within international crime. Maybe Della disappeared into space and Huey, Dewey, and Louie's father vanished into an evil world. Well, let me know down below what your thoughts are. Is the triplets' father a FOWL agent, or is he just a normal person who left them? Is he evil or just apathetic, cold, and distant? Also, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen. Finally, as always, thanks for watching and have a magical day.